understood. That's your job. So you have to say it in ways that they get it, and specific is very helpful. Sometimes I teasingly say you've got to print it on the side of a board and hit them upside the head.
Okay. Write it down. Like, I think we talked about it one week, like, for some reason sometimes people are comfortable completely communicating it, and we even said, like, text it. Like, put it in words, like in writing.
Yep.
So, because sometimes people are, like, visual, you know, learners. You know, I am. Like, I'll hear something, but I might not hear all of it. But if I read it, I'm going to actually get it all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, texting might be impersonal, but, like, you know, I think we're talking about, like, fetishes or something, and someone was like, I don't know how to tell my partner about, like, a fetish I like. I'm like, just text it to them so they can, like, soak it in for a little bit before they, like, see you, you know? So, like, that could be kind of, like, a way.
I had a couple
that was your question.
What was my question?
If you think swinging is a way to cheat and it'd be okay.
So
that's becoming really popular.
That is becoming popular. You know, I've had.
Did you put a lot in there?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, not good for them. Polyamory is becoming very popular. You know, multiple partners.
Yeah.
Polyamory. Okay. And people are exploring that and looking into that. What I tell people is, if you're going to swing, you're polyamory, all those sorts of things. Again, going back down to communication. Sit down and talk about what it means. What are your expectations?
I feel like that one's something you'd really have to, like, sit down.
Your rules, your you know, what you want to see, how you want, you know, some people have rules around things like, with a polyamory, you can have sex with someone else as long as it's not a close friend of ours. Not
So
run
that,
into, you know,
so
like,
for the definition of that, for someone that doesn't know, that is just multiple partners.
yes.
Is that the one that male, female, just, or just?
It again depends on what the couple agrees
Exactly.
on.
So
If they
it's just
agree
multiple
on it.
partners in general.
But the thing is they agree on it. It's not I'm going to decide I'm polyamorous, well, my partner's not, you know, or they may decide, okay, this one part of the couple can be polyamorous, and the other one doesn't feel like being that way. But as long as they're okay with that,
As long as they're,
it doesn't
you know,
cause
letting them know.
resentment, it doesn't cause, you know, things. And I don't know if it's in this particular book. I talk about changing the contract. I don't think it's in this book. But if you make an agreement like that, and it no longer fits, you need to talk about it, not just go and start acting.
Yeah, it should be like contract. It should be like that type of stuff should be like open-ended. Like, here's what's gonna happen, and we'll see how it goes, and kind of just like check in, and like go from there.
Yes, regular check-ins are good in any relationship. But you know, with the swinging, again, it'll depend on you know, the couple agreeing on it. Because usually with swinging, both members of the couple swing, right? They switch the whole couple. So you've got to both be comfortable and okay with it. And
Exactly.
understand what it means.
I also, we had swingers on the show once before, and they were saying that there's like clubs that you can go to. There's a bunch in Atlantic City, and they said that there's a form of swinging to where a couple just goes somewhere where they can just be publicly watched, but no one joins in.
Okay.
And it's just like, you
Like
know,
an exhibitionism.
yeah, kind of like that, but it's like it's a form of swinging. So like no one, like people could be watching, or just the fact that people are there watching, but no one's like involved. They were saying that that's like the first step, or that's like, you know, becoming like really popular.
Okay.
So it's like, and they said that they noticed it's like usually older couples. So I guess they're probably like trying to spice things up, maybe. Like, hey, let's go to this club and just like do it in front of strangers, you know? It is what it is.
And risk and danger, quote unquote, that's not necessarily risky, but
that's
it
actually
feels
a
more
safe place to like kind of be risky, you know, like
Risky.
instead of in a car in an alley where a cop could like find you, you're allowed, but it's like, ooh.
Yes.
So the one thing that I want to talk about is your definition of infidelity, because I found it to be very interesting. So I don't know if you want to just explain it or you want to read it. Did you read that? Were you like, huh?
Yes.
Because I kind of just thought infidelity was just like, oh, cheated, like hooked up with someone else, like.
But we were talking about that on the one show, that it's emotional, it's the whole aspect of
But she even goes into more
cheating.
detail about things that I didn't even like think of. So
just because
we want you to
don't have
comment
sex with the
what you
person
think your
doesn't mean
definition
you're
of
not
infidelity
cheating.
is, and then you just, you know, tell us what you think, what yours is.
Do I tell now or do I?
Yeah, tell it now, but we still want them to comment.
So my definition, and the definition that I share with a number of different therapists and things that I trained with, and things that infidelity cheating, being unfaithful, is anything that takes away from your primary relationship something that should be in that primary relationship. Okay? Now, that could be a number of things. Attention,
one of my questions.
Attention,
Like
sex,
you said, the emotional.
emotional connection, time, any of those sort of money.
Talking to somebody improperly on Facebook.
Yeah, well, and
See,
that's,
those are like ones that I was like, yeah. Like, I understand that. But the ones that I was like, was the object focus and the addictive affairs.
which are both kind of related.
Yeah,
to
the
each
They
other.
are
addictive
related.
affairs
It's number
definitely
1
caught me.
and number 7. Like
I was
the
like,
first
what?
and the last one. So here I am reading this, and the first one I'm like,
But it's completely understandable, because if you're going outside
It
and
is once you
smoking a
read it,
blunt,
though.
you're like trying to escape from your wife. Like my cousin does it. He goes off in his own
Shout
corner
out.
and he escapes from the children and his
So-
wife. It's an issue.
Yeah, it is. Well, and you know, it causes problems because that it disconnects you, and it's avoidance, and it's multiple. And I talk in here about misery stabilizing.
so cheating's not just like, oh, I had sex with Bob.
Some sort of sexual,
It's
sexual
the
encounter.
object. Did you want to explain the object focus?
So an object focus, and how do
The
I
object focus
where
cheating.
it's behaviors where you focus on something else to the extent that it harms your relationship. So a short list could be video games.
When I read that, I was like,
your kids,
what? That's a cheater.
work, hobbies.
Again, if
I'm
they're
at
turning
fault
the
with
video
that.
game system on and ignoring you, it's an issue.
Well, it's where the idea is you're
I
giving your primary.
I didn't see travel. Oh, I'm such a cheater.
You know what's funny is when I read that, I thought about you.
I was skimming this. That's the one thing I didn't see. I saw right there.
Yeah, I actually read it word for word.
Someone actually said that to me. They're like, you travel so much, and like you're always with like different girlfriends, and I'm like,
You're cheating.
What is that? What do you mean? And like I didn't even like think of that.
But again, is it taking something away, or are you focusing on, the idea is that you're giving your primary loyalty to something other than your relationship.
Every day when I'm away traveling.
Well, it's again, everything has, again, what's agreed upon in your relationship.
Exactly.
Right? Is this an okay thing or not? Is this fine or not in the relationship? And not somebody saying yes, it's okay, but then resenting it, or being upset about it, or secretly loathing it, or anything like that.
See, the part
when
that
it said video games, I was
shocked
like,
me-
what? How could, that's like not sexual at all. And then I was like, oh. And I started reading everything else, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's taking away. If you're someone who believes in the idea of energy, you're taking attention, you're taking
Megan
your
Lobster, she's
time.
back. Yay, Megan's back.
Well, the part that shocked me was the whole "we're just friends" thing, and you were saying to include your spouse in everything, like
Like if they're just
planning on
friends,
going
like
out.
the texting.
But what shocked
yeah.
me was the texting, the email. Like, are you really gonna make it a three-way
Well, it's not that-
conversation
I don't-
and be like, oh, babe,
I
you know,
don't
I'm
think she meant to
texting him,
see
so
on that,
you
but
have
it's like,
to be in it.
if he was like, let me see, it would be okay for me to see it type
There
thing,
you go,
right?
I'm not
Is that
doing
what-
anything wrong.
Or even talk and go, oh, I heard from such and such today. This is what's going on in their life,
That's what he
or
said.
or whatever.
Exactly.
It's one of those things again with that, not just friends. Is if you could say everything that you've said in the email, or anything you said in the text, or act in the same with your spouse or partner standing right there with you, and not be embarrassed and not have your spouse be unhappy, it's fine.
Absolutely.
But as soon as it's one of those things where your spouse is going, or partner is going to be upset, feel hurt, feel disrespected, any of those sorts of things, you've crossed the line.
Definitely.
And I actually said in here, because my husband said it once, if you could act that way, now I'm not sure because of your job, maybe it's a little bit different, but if you could act that way and talk that way in the middle of your workplace, it's probably fine. Now your workplace is a little different. But, like...
Yeah, we're allowed to talk about sex and stuff like that. It's a little different.
It's a little different,
Yeah.
right? But, imagine doing it in the middle of a bank, in front of all the tellers, all the managers, and everything like that, and without anybody being upset, then you're probably okay.
But that goes to my thing too, with you were talking about, with your ex, don't kiss them on the cheek, like dancing with them. I would do that in front of my husband.
Well, and
Would
would
your
your husband be okay with it?
different if you
Probably not.
Okay.
Well, no, I shouldn't
But the
say
fact
probably
that-
not, because
but the
we've
fact
had that
that it's
issue
there,
where I
that's a
ran
little
into an ex
different.
and I kissed him on the cheek, and it was an issue, and I was like, why?
I ran
If
into
it was
two
the
exes
old
this
man that
weekend.
I was on the first date squad with, I'd kiss him on the cheek if I saw him too.
Well, and then that's a discussion between you and you and your husband about that level of thing. That's what I'm saying is
Yeah,
what I
like,
usually say is what's
the
the lowest
communication.
what's the lowest denominator?
Yeah,
right?
like
And
I
you start
definitely
from
understand,
there.
don't kiss him on the lips if you
Right.
see.
No
wrestling. Like,
Right.
it's funny because today, this weekend, John and I went to the Belmar Seafood Festival,
Mhm.
and like he walked away for all of 5 minutes so he could go get a lobster roll. Because I was with Bella and I had my French fries because that's all that was non-seafood. And I'm sitting there, and while I'm there, I run into two of my exes, and this like 5 minutes that he's gone, and I'm just like, like, oh, hug, hey, how are you? And then, like, he comes back, he's like, what do you mean? Where did they go? Like, where are they? I'm like, I don't know. Like, we need to leave. Like, I don't know.
You want
I
to
don't know
totally
what's happening.
saw 'em.
I know.
Like,
And he's like, I want to meet them. He's like, I want to meet them. Where did they go? I'm like, that way. like, let's leave. But it was just so funny. Like, literally, he walked away for, like, 5-10 minutes, and then, like, I ran into them, and I was like, gave, like, a hug and a little, like, to be nice. But, like, both of them were there with new girlfriends, whatever. Like, there's no, like, sexual tension. I know there was something in there about, like, that there is sexual tension or something like with an ex.
No,
but not at all.
That was the,
I told my mom the one I ran into, and she was like, ugh.
That's what shocked me too. Like you were talking about when you like run into an ex a couple of years later that you don't remember the bad things that happened. You store the hormonal, whatever.
Well, that's like with anything. You
Well,
don't want to
like
remember
the-
the bad stuff.
But how do you not? Like, how do you walk up to somebody and be like, oh, I was attracted to you 6 years ago. Forget the fact that you
Oh, I remember the bad
my
stuff.
window. How
Like,
do you?
I remember the bad.
Exactly.
When it comes to exes, I remember the bad stuff.
Exactly.
Like, when I saw the one ex, like, I said hi to him just 'cause like, he was literally, like, walking towards me, and I was no way I could get away from him. Like, I would have, like, dodged the other way. And all I could think about while I'm talking to him was, like, the terrible things that
Right.
he did, but I was still going to be nice to him because, like, he's with a new girlfriend. What am I going to do? Start yelling at him
But
about
in the
something
book
that doesn't
it
even
says
matter
that you
anymore?
just like forget about that and your hormonal levels.
You can't.
Hard.
You can't. Doesn't mean all the time it does. But
Yeah.
You can. Especially a lot of times what it is especially people that you were dating when you were in like your teens, when you were very hormonally drenched. Just to think about it that way, right? You
don't want to know the story about how I met my husband.
But that's the thing. Is those sorts of
Hormonally drenched. I like that.
That is
We need to
in there. We're gonna put that as the word, the phrase of the week.
Should that be a chapter?
Hormonally drenched.
Your next book.
Yeah.
Are you going to write a book?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide what my next one's gonna be on.
Okay.
Yeah, I like
Oh,
writing.
and then the addictive affair, that is very similar to the other one, like being a workaholic, shopping addiction, obviously like, what was it, like drug and alcohol addiction. That's just,
Right. Well,
stuff like that.
if you think about it, this is something we used to teach when I did addictions. This is an example because people say, well, no, my addiction doesn't come first. My addiction doesn't come first. It's like, okay, imagine a woman gets up in the morning.
But it doesn't even necessarily have to be an addiction. It could be a hobby that you run away to go to.
Well, that's the object. She's talking about specifically addiction ones. And you think about somebody who has like as an alcoholic, has an alcohol issue, and they get up in the morning because they haven't drank all night. They got a little bit of the shakes, right? She's pouring the shot she's going to take to get the shakes to go away, and the baby cries. You want to bet me is she going to pound that shot before she goes and checks on the baby?
She's going to pound it quicker than she was going to, just so she could check on the baby,
but she's
still
going to
do
pound
it.
the shot first.
Exactly.
So the addiction, because and what
Or while she's going, she's going to.
Yeah, she's going to it's going to be justified of like, well, my hand's shaking, I got to do this so that I can take care of the baby. There's a whole, but what came first?
Exactly.
Didn't drop the bottle and run to the baby. It's I grabbed the shot as I went, and like I said, pounding it away as I was going, type of thing. And that's not to put a diss on somebody who has alcohol problems or addictions or whatever, but understanding that it takes over, it becomes first, and it takes away from the relationship. So,
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's another form of object addiction or object affairs, kind of.
So those were very interesting to me, especially when you're like video games. I'm like,